We're now doing our Maftoul salad, and the ingredients are very, very simple. Again, a very, very easy recipe for the festive season. So I've got Maftoul here, which is a very large type of couscous. And I'll tell you the difference between Maftoul and couscous in a minute. So what we've done is we've rinsed a packet, about 250 grams of this beautiful Zaytoun. It's called giant couscous here, Maftoul, all the way from Palestine. And we've rinsed it. It won't go soggy, don't worry. And we're going to add that to a pan with about 4 tablespoons of beautiful, again, here we've got some Zaytoun extra virgin olive oil, absolutely beautiful. So about 4 tablespoons of oil. You don't have to use extra virgin here, but it does give it that rich, rich taste. And what we want to do is we want the couscous to take on the lovely flavours of the olive oil. And gently fry it, yeah? We don't want to brown it or anything like that, but we do want every single grain, that pearl grain of couscous, of Maftoul, to soak in that olive oil. So there you go, just toss it around a little bit so each grain is coated and it soaks it all up. Just a few minutes, 3 or 4 minutes to do that. And that will help with the fluffing process at the end. That's great. So I'm going to add now 400 mils of water or stock. Now I've got a very small amount of stock in here, very small stock cube. You don't have to, you can just use water, but I actually like a little bit of stock in my couscous, and it also the colour, it enhances that lovely caramel colour. So we're going to put, as I said, about 400. Now, mils, if you are using water, that's great, no problem. You might just have to season the couscous or the Maftoul. So we're going to put that on a simmer, yeah? We're going to let that simmer and then we will fluff it up. So just cover the lid and leave it to simmer and we'll just keep our eye on it. And that will take roughly about 12 minutes to get to a stage. Just before all the water's absorbed, I'm going to add about 75 grams of beautiful raisins to this, but you can add sultanas, you can add cranberries, you can have any little bits of dried fruit, including apricots. Just make sure they're finely chopped. And what that will do is absorb the extra water in there and will plump them up. So we're going to do that a bit later. So the rest of our salad, our Maftoul salad, ingredients are, and they all go in one bowl, you'll be happy. We've got some lovely fresh mint, beautiful fresh mint. We're going to use some of that, some lovely flat leaf parsley. Of course, these ingredients are all over the Middle East. A small red onion, now that's big. I'm going to not use all of that. A couple of spring onions. And we're also going to add a little bit of chilli. Maybe just the one, because it's very sweet. And we've got a bit of salt and pepper. And I'm also, because I like to, I'm going to use the zest of an orange. You can use the zest of a lemon if you like, but you don't have to. But I quite like that slightly citrusy taste. Okay, the other ingredient, of course, that we're going to add, and it's a feature of this dish, is some beautiful za'atar. And za'atar you can also get from Fairtrade, from Greencity. It's a Fairtrade product. Zesty thyme mixture, and of course each region has its different za'atar, very, very popular, particularly in Palestine, with a bit of bread and some lovely olive oil to dip into, and it also makes wonderful marinade, a dry marinade or a rub that you can put on meat and halloumi, lovely sprinkled on boiled eggs as well. So that is going to be something we're going to garnish later. So the other thing I always love to garnish my Maftoul salad with, it's some pomegranates, but you never know if it's going to be bright red, if it's going to be a pale one. So it's really not the season for pomegranates, but we'll see. So first thing we're going to do is start chopping. Now you can put all of this in one bowl. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to use a good handful of fresh parsley. Now I like to use the stalks. Some people don't. But I do. It adds a lovely, lovely crunch. I'll just take the stalks separately. But I'm not going to use the stalks, obviously, of the mint because they're too woody. If you don't like the stalks of your parsley and you just want to use the leaves, that's fine. But keep the stalks for making some nice tea. It makes a fabulous tea, really, really good for your indigestion. So we're not making a very, very fine salad. We do want to see some of the leaves. So some nice thin slices of herbs. Of course, with tabbouleh, if you want to make tabbouleh, you can turn this into a tabbouleh. I would be cutting these herbs far thinner than I am now. Quite like coming across a bit of parsley, getting the full flavour of that. So, straight into a bowl. Let's chop our great. And one for me. So in we go. We're also going to use some mint. Now, mint, you get all sorts of mint, but we don't want to use the stalks because they're all woody. A good way to get rid of all the leaves is just to go backwards along the stalk, and they should all come off in your hand. Yep. So let's get rid of that. And again, use the stalks to flavour your tea. It makes a fabulous tea. And who doesn't like fresh mint tea with boiling water and a little bit of sugar? Fantastic. Really takes me back to the Middle East. So good way is to put it all in your hand into a big ball, squash it down, and that way you've got more control over chopping it. And again, not too big because mint can be quite overpowering if you get a big mouthful. So let's just make sure we get a good fine chop of that. Lovely. There we go. So I'm going to put the dry mint in there. Lovely. So the other ingredient is a red chilli. Now you don't have to add this, and chilies can be quite hot. So what I like to do is I give it a good squeezy, squashy sort of roll in my hand there. And what that does is it releases all the seeds in there. And when I cut the top off, they should all fall out. There you go. So if you don't want your chili too hot, there are little techniques you can do. You can open it up and take out the membrane and the seeds with a little spoon or your hand. Just make sure you don't touch anything else on your body after that. So I'm just going to remove all the seeds there, and I'm going to cut it into some fine slithers so no one gets one big mouthful of chili. And what you can do is you can use some chili flakes or some Aleppo pepper or Turkish red pepper flakes if you so wish, instead of fresh chili, because sometimes in winter fresh chili is a little bit difficult to come by if you don't live on the south side of Glasgow, which is full of lovely Asian shops. And of course you can get chili, which is a ubiquitous ingredient in Asian cooking all year round. So there we go. I'm adding the chilies in there. They're all finely chopped. Now, what I am going to do is I'm just going to keep an eye on my maftoul and just see if the water's absorbed. Oh, there you go. So the water's almost absorbed. So I'm going to add my raisins to that. Just give them a nice scatter. Beautiful. Yep. And they'll still have a little bit of bite to them. They won't be soggy, but they'll absorb some of the moisture there. So I'm just going to turn that down even less there. Okay, so what we want to do, we've got one thing that we have to do is we need to fry our onion. So I'm going to use half this onion that we're going to gently fry in some of that lovely oil because raw onions are not what this recipe calls for. It calls for a sweetness that we get from cooked onions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice them really. Some nice sort of half moon slices, or you can just chop them if you like. I quite like the colour coming through of the onions, and with the spring onions as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any spring onions with lots of greens. I don't know why. In Britain in particular, they chop all the green bits of the spring onion off and throw it away. And of course, they don't need to do that because it's absolutely delicious. So we're going to fry this, and then we're going to add it to our salad. So just so you know, to remind you, we've got some lovely chopped mint in there. Colours are beautiful. We've got some parsley. We've got a little bit of chilli. And I'm going to then add a nice zest of an orange into this. There we go. And while all this is happening, of course, our baklava is cooking in the oven. Should be a nice golden colour. I think that's it. That's lovely. Okay. Now, you can always put a bit of orange juice. If you don't have enough liquid in there, you can always squeeze a bit of orange juice in there. And actually, I might do that just to give it a bit more of a sort of sweet tang. Not an entire orange, but a small one. Or a squeeze of a mandarin. Or any of those. It's lovely. Lovely. Just going to leave that in there so that's some of that flavour get in there. So there you go, beautiful. So I'm going to fry our onions now. So to our spring onions and our red onions, I'm just going to add a lovely little bit of this beautiful oil. Oh, the colour's lovely. And I'm just going to soften them really. So they shouldn't take too long, just a few minutes. And I'll just show you our lovely couscous. And I can feel how soft they are in my fingers, lovely and cooked. Just leave that off so it absorbs more. Now, for those of you who don't know the difference between couscous and maftoul. Maftoul, you'll be able to read in the ingredients there. It says bulgur wheat and whole wheat. So this is a whole grain maftoul. And what they do is it's quite an amazing thing that they do. They get little bits of bulgur, which they coat in wheat flour and roll it, and each grain of bulgur is then coated with wheat, and so it forms these lovely balls. But with semolina, with couscous, what you have is a similar process, usually made in the factory, but you have bits of semolina that have been coated with wheat flour. The difference is bulgur with a maftoul, and it's usually much larger because bulgur grains are usually much larger. So I'm just going to soften these onions, a little bit of colour, not a huge amount of colour, but we do, because we want to retain the lovely red colour of the onions and the vibrant green of the spring onions, just until they're soft. So I'm just going to take the lid off our maftoul and just expose that to the air and help release that steam. Lovely. The smells here are fantastic. Who doesn't like the smell of fried onions? Any onions frying is just absolutely fantastic. And our maftoul is ready. Where's my fork? Just going to fluff that up, and you can see all the grains are lovely and separated. Lovely. So I'm also going to just tidy up here and start preparing the salad and all the garnishes that are going to go with it. So now that the ingredients of our maftoul, the cooked ingredients, are now ready, our maftoul, as you can see, is all ready and plumped up, and our lovely onions still retain their colour, you can see there, but they're also a little charred and a little bit brown in some of the edges. They're beautiful. So I'm just going to literally add all of this into the same bowl as our chopped. Lovely. Beautiful. And I'm just going to add our maftoul to that as well. There we go. Oh, it's very hot. And that heat will help soften the herbs. to dress this now with some lemon juice, and we're going to season it. So I like to use a fork during this process. It just helps combine everything. So the lovely colours here of the chili, flecks of orange, beautiful. The red and green onion, the lovely fresh herbs. So to this, I'm going to juice of 1 lemon. A little tip, if you use your hand to cup the lemon, any pips that are still there will fall into your hand and not into the dish. So this is a lovely lemon with no pips. Okay, just get the other one. And we're also going to season it with salt and pepper. Now, you can add your za'atar now, or I like to add a little bit now, and then I like to sprinkle it over the dish once I've presented it. So give that a good mix. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this and some fresh black pepper. Lovely. Now, what's great about this, folks, is if you're a meat eater during the festive season, you can always use this as a side dish. Absolutely fantastic with lamb and chicken, but it's also a wonderful stuffing if you want to use it as that. You want to stuff your bird, it makes a fantastic stuffing. So there's our lovely mixed. I'm going to taste that first. So, beautiful. Lovely. That lemon has really made it vibrant. I'm going to add a little bit more salt. And those raisins, I just got a mouthful of raisins there. Beautiful sweetness, lovely contrasting flavours. So I'm just going to put this into our serving tray. Put this here so you can see it. You'll see it. Lovely colours. It's a really beautiful salad, and you can't go wrong. If you follow the recipe, you really can't go wrong. You won't have mushy couscous. You'll have, and it is the colours of Christmas, if you celebrate that, yeah? So this is where we're going to start doing our lovely decorating. So I like to add my almonds to that. Beautiful. Some za'atar. Lovely. And, of course, instead of that, you can add pine nuts if you like. Beautiful za'atar. And, fingers crossed, our pomegranates. Let's have a look. Oh, lovely. So we're just going to add some pomegranate to this. Just if you can, it'll fall into your fingers, and then you can use a wooden spoon, probably safer, but I'm used to doing it with a knife, or you can do it into a bowl. Yeah. Isn't that bonny? Gorgeous. So there we have it. We have our beautiful festive Maftoul salad, all made with fair trade ingredients. Lovely colours there, and a little sprig of parsley. Oh, just now, wouldn't you love that on your Christmas table? Beautiful. And as I said, you can use this as stuffing or as a side dish. It makes a fabulous main course as well for 2 to 3 people.